Ah, yes, I saw this. I don't know why people are talking about this today specifically, but apparently Hungary has passed a law barring same-sex couples from adopting. Which is funny, because this is exactly what the Trump administration asked the Supreme Court if they could get away with doing. Isn't that funny? You know, Hungary has been going down a pretty far-right pit in the past couple of years. I mean, not just in the past couple of years, but especially lately. And, and the Trump administration actually attempted to do exactly the same thing. So, cool. Hungary's parliament has voted to redefine the concept of family in the country's constitution, a move that will effectively bar same-sex couples from adopting children. This is so stupid in so many fucking ways. It's remarkable how stupid this is. First of all, legally defining the concept as family as a man and a woman and their children is historically inaccurate. What the fuck are you talking about? Family doesn't have like a strict like legal parameter. Like a family just means like a unit of people. Family doesn't, you don't have to be blood related, so you can be adopted people. Family, like your grandparents could be in there. Family could be like you live with your brothers or something. Like family could be anything. It's funny because people, traditionalists, you know, they'll argue that like this is like an attempt to defend the sanctity of family. This is like spitting in the face of like Western tradition. All of the countries that the far right types like to look back on, you know, antiquity in Europe, or if you go back to Greek or Rome or whatever, no matter how far back you go, you won't find like some narrow, rigid definition of family. In fact, some of the greatest myths and legends of the old world that, you know, that we consider to be kind of like a component of Western civilization are about atypical family structures. Like, it's ridiculous. The idea that, like, you're trying to... So, like, I just wish people would be, like, forthcoming with their positions here. Just say, we fucking hate gay people. We don't want them to be able to adopt. Just say that. I mean, the honesty is appreciated. Go forth. Just say it. Don't do this bullshit about how you have some hype. They do say that, though? No. Well, they do say that, but when they're actually voting for the law, they pat themselves in the back, and it's all about, you know... Oh yeah, we're defending the sanctity of the original meaning of family. There's no original meaning of family. That's not a thing. Now, it won't change the actual outcome, but at least then we can have the argument over the real issue, which is that people in Hungary think gay people icky, anal sex ew, instead of this fake argument about the definition of a family, which none of these motherfuckers give a shit about. I guarantee you that most of Hungary's parliament is full of fucking adulterers, cheaters, people who fuck their mistresses, people who fuck their kids, because they're all conservatives, right? So they probably fuck their kids. I guarantee you that the parliament is full of dipshits who don't give a fuck about the traditional definition of family, and they all come out here and they all pat themselves in the back about what godly people they are for enforcing a definition that none of them believe in. Who was that guy in Hungary? You people were talking about it in chat earlier. Who was that guy? He got caught at a gay orgy. Hold on. Wait, I don't know. We'll keep this search result. Hungary gay orgy. Let's make sure this is it's a quality content for stream here. Oh, yeah, here we go. Yeah. Jo Joseph Sjager? Hungary MEP quits after allegedly fleeing gay orgy. Me too, man. A top member of Prime Minister Viktor Orban's Fidesz party, top member too, not just some rando, was stopped by the police after reports of a house party violating lockdown rules. They say he was found with drugs as he tried to flee the gathering, reportedly shinning down a drain. Wow! He like did the meme. He did the thing where like you shimmy down the drain pipe. That's like a college movie classic right there. You know what I mean? Like you worm your way down, you know? He apologized for a personal failing. Okay. Inside the flat, police found about 20 people, 2 of whom invoked diplomatic immunity. Jesus Christ. They were cautioned for having broken the lockdown rules. Narcotics found in his backpack. Yeah. The police said an ecstasy pill was found. It's not mine. I don't know who planted it or how. Damn, man. Dude's getting in there. Fucking popping ecstasy, shimmying down the drain pipe. Yeah, kings be kinging, exactly. Motherfuckers carrying it out. The gay drug part. These degenerates, man. Maybe Hungary, fucking the parliament has a point. This guy's not suitable to be a father. I'm kidding, of course. All good fathers go to gay orgies with with stimulants. Um, anyway, this feels incredibly tiring to go over like time and time again, but like laws like this are like the ultimate legislative megacope. What was that politician who said there are no gay people in his country? Was that Turkey? Was it Iran? Was it what country was that? Come on, was it Saudi Arabia? There was a country where their leader said this was a while ago. Was it Bolsonaro? Russia? I think there were multiple countries where they did this. They said like there are no gay people in our country, you know? And a lot of these people, they think like maybe gay is like some sort of degenerate Western chauvinist disease or something, and I don't really care. But like at the end of the day, whether you're a homophobic country or not, there are like the same number of gay people. Let's be fucking real, okay? Even back, it was Chechnya, gotcha. Even back like 50, 100 years ago in America, there were still dudes fucking each other in the ass behind truck parks, whatever. Now here in America today, they can just do it not behind truck parks. They can do it more openly, I guess, in, I don't know, gay sex clubs, whatever. The point is, like, this isn't changing. Like, the fundamental element here isn't changing. This is ultimate cope bait, okay? What they do is you have all these politicians, and let's be perfectly clear. If you're a politician in an autocratic nation, you are a degenerate, okay? You are a degenerate. You are not. All of them. If you look back through history, there are no parliaments in autocratic nations full of godly, reserved, pious people. This doesn't happen. It literally never happens. Holy shit, Tondo with the 15 gifted tier 1 subs. Jesus Christ, what a fucking king, pulling it out. Thank you so much, comrade. Jesus. Hey, and the API displays it all properly now. It doesn't look perfect, but it looks it gives me the look. Thank you, comrade. That's fucking awesome. Okay, but we have to stay on track because we're in a segment. What was I saying? Oh yeah, these people are not godly. These people are not pious. If you look back through history, autocrats are, generally speaking, incredibly sexually repressed. If you want, you can look at the church. You can see how the priesthood treat their fucking altar boys. You can look at all the autocratic nations in the past. You can look at the monarchies. All of these countries, all of their leadership, they all have their harems. They all have their mistresses. None of these people adhere to some godly, ultimate tradition of pure, stead family values. The funny thing is here in America, not in Hungary, but here in America, probably the most fervent practitioners of traditional family structures are immigrants. It's huge, especially like Hispanic immigrants. Those are usually the ones that practice that tradition or that archetype like in the most fastidious way. They have big extended families, but like the value of like the man and the woman and the kids, they care about that a lot, and they take things like adultery very, very seriously. But of course, because the Republican Party's racist, they have to. Man, if the Republican Party wasn't racist, I feel like they'd be able to do such an amazing job appealing to like the conservative traditionalism of like Black and Latin families, but they can't because they're racist. So, yeah. But anyway, this Hungary shit, obviously cringe, obviously cope. There are studies that have been done on the well-being and performance, like in school and stuff, of children who are adopted by gay couples. Surprise, surprise, no negative outcomes. It doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt. Doesn't matter whether you're being raised by 2 men, 2 women, 1 guy, 1 woman. As long as you're being raised by like 2 people, because the single parent shit is tough. That's difficult. But that's just mostly because it's just really, really difficult to raise a kid with 1 person. You know, it takes a village. What about 1 woman and 1 guy? Well, you can transpose it as much as you want. What about being raised by wolves? That could work. That could work. I got you, White. Also, welcome back. It takes a good long. Anyway, this is dumb as fuck. There are lots of far-right people that are going to be applauding this, but please, God, from the bottom of your heart, please, God, remember, none of the people who are applauding this are doing this because they want to defend the traditional family. They're doing it because they hate gay people. It's really important to remember the underlying motives here, okay? So There are some people who genuinely believe that like the traditional family structure is essential for raising kids. Most of the people who will make that argument though just fucking hate gay people. It's like with abortion. There are people who legitimately believe that like a fetus is a life and it should be protected, and for that reason they don't like abortion. Okay, whatever. But the majority of people who really care about abortion, I think, just don't like women's sexuality that much. They want women to be punished for the audacity of having sex in a context where they're not ready to raise a child. Which is why, by the way, if you talk with a lot of people about abortion rights, their first go-to isn't about the right of the fetus. It's actually about keeping women's legs closed. They've changed the focus of their language over the past couple of decades. But if you go back, if you remember how people talked about this just like 10 years ago, the first retort you would hear wasn't some epistemological argument on the value of life or whatever, or the nature of existence. That's not what you would hear first. The first thing would be, I just think women should be able to close their legs. If they can't have a kid, they shouldn't be having sex. That was the number one argument, or at the very least, it was a very, very prominent one. And that is, of course, a really bad argument. So, yeah. Can you please show the famous George Carlin stand-up on abortions when maybe pro-choice when getting into politics? We're getting off the weeds. Also, DMCA. Though there was, God, oh man, I wish I knew where to find this. Recently, there was some Facebook post done by an organization to explain why conservative politicians are so pro-choice. Or, so pro-life, like so anti-choice. There was a post about it. It was really, really good rhetoric. I wish I could remember it or like show it. It was just one Facebook post, and it was about the underlying reasons why they find it necessary to focus so heavily on the quote unquote rights of the unborn. And the argument was that essentially fetuses are the ultimate virtue signal minority, because they are defenseless, I mean, in basically every imaginable way. But unlike real minorities, like black people or women or whatever, like ones that are in the world and vote and stuff, they don't ask anything of you. Yeah, they don't have any demands. Exactly. The unborn are a voiceless group you can ascribe your beliefs to. They can't speak up. They can't ask. Oh, here we go. Is this the thing? They say it better than I do. Hold on. Here we go. I don't know if this is the Facebook post, but a really great quote from a United Methodist pastor. The unborn are a convenient group of people to advocate for. They never make demands of you. They are morally uncomplicated. Unlike the incarcerated, addicted, or the chronically poor, they don't resent your condescension or complain that you're not politically correct. Unlike widows, they don't ask you to question patriarchy. Unlike orphans, they don't need money, education, or childcare. Unlike aliens, they don't bring all that racial, cultural, and religious baggage you dislike. They allow you to feel good about yourself without any work at creating or maintaining relationships, and when they are born, you can forget about them because they cease to be unborn. It's almost as if by being born, they have died to you. You can love the unborn and advocate for them without substantially challenging your own wealth, power, or privilege, without reimagining social structures, apologizing, or making reparations to anyone. They are, in short, the perfect people to love if you want to claim you love Jesus, but actually dislike people who breathe. Prisoners, immigrants, the sick, the poor, widows, orphans, all the groups that are specifically mentioned in the Bible, they all get thrown under the bus for the unborn. Oh, there, and it links to a Facebook post. Well, I was right all along, wasn't I? It was on Facebook. Anyway, it's a good little bit. It's a good little ditty. The linky? I'm sure. I mean, when I put something on stream, you can see the URL. We can't type the whole URL. You can see the keywords. You can see the subreddit and the title. Jesus Christ. How do you feel about sex-based abortion? You mean like having an abortion only if the fetus is a woman or whatever? I mean, it's pretty fucked up. There's no way to legislate against it, though. If people have the right to have an abortion, you can't tell them there's only so many legitimate reasons to have an abortion, you know? Like, imagine if a woman goes to an abortion clinic, you know? And she's like, oh yeah, I want to have an abortion. And the doctor's like, okay, but do you want to have the abortion because you want to have an abortion like in general? Or is it just because it's a girl in there? Yeah. Or something like that. You can't really do that. So The best thing that you can do is adjust society to make it so people want men and women equally, or like boys and girls equally, which we have in the United States. In the United States, we don't have like sex-based abortion. I don't think, not to a significant extent, like at all. Um, Maybe some people do, but I think for the most part, we pretty much just stick with what we're doing. Um, what if the person says they're doing it for that reason? Well, even if we legislated against that, people would just lie. I mean, it doesn't. We can't really fix that. Um, in the U.S., I find people want girls more than boys, but that might be anecdotal. I hear people talk about that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons why you would want one or the other, right? Gender may be cringe, but it's a fact of life that, generally speaking, people assigned male and female at birth tend to have different upbringings and experiences being raised. So I understand why people might have a preference one way or another, but I would hope most parents could come to love a child regardless of their birth sex. Um, is anyone actually in favor of post-birth abortions, aka child murder, or is that just right-wing propaganda? Oh no, there are people who are in favor of post-birth abortions. They're called people who don't want universal health care, because that way you would be able to pay for the medical costs of families who need some kind of like post-birth care for their child. That's what, yeah, that's the technical term for it. Those people do exist. There's an unfortunate number of them. I think there's a whole political party actually dedicated to that belief of theirs. Really fucked up when you think about it, but what are you going to do? Explain Canadian healthcare? Wait. I might as well explain the geopolitics of fucking Alice in Wonderland. Why? Canada's not real. Eat shit. Conservacucks usually bring up the racial aspect of abortion regarding this as genocide. Is it valid? No. Guys, first of all, conservatives don't give a fuck if black people get more abortions than white people, okay? Conservatives don't give a shit. Their current president, Donald Trump, talks about how he's going to prevent BLM from invading the suburbs, okay? Conservatives do not give a single shit about the fucking propensity of black people or their genetic, expansion across the United States, all right? Not even slightly. What they do, and they do this for a lot of other things too, is they try to use it to get woke fucking virtue signal points so they can use the liberals' arguments against them. Oh, you're pro-black, then why are you pro-abortion when 80 zillion black babies get aborted in a silent black genocide every year? It's just another bad faith way of trying to turn the opponent's argument against them. At the end of the day, if people want abortions, they should be able to get abortions. If you want fewer abortions, the way to do that is to subsidize healthcare and make it so everyone has access to education and contraception. It's that easy. All the data shows that's the cheapest way of handling this problem. It works better than anything else, and it doesn't violate any human rights. Easy peasy. Is zillion an actual number? I'm sorry to say that zillion is, to my knowledge, not an actual number. No. You can be anti-abortion without being anti-choice. Yeah, that's also true. There are plenty of things that I don't like that I think you all should be able to have the legal right, to partake in. I think that British people eating beans on toast is morally abhorrent, but they have a legal right to do it for now. There's not much I can do about that for now. You don't like abortion, that's fine. Don't have one. Do you have an opinion on pro-life Christians who are pro-life in every respect? Like with pushing better funding for adoption, foster care, and birth control education? I think that's lovely of them, but it doesn't mean they should be able to restrict the bodily autonomy of other people. The bodily autonomy argument at the end of the day is the most solid one. It could well be the case that a person can make a convincing argument for the personhood of a fetus. That's entirely possible. Stuff like that's pretty subjective. But unfortunately, if you say you shouldn't be able to have an abortion, you open yourself up legally to a lot of really weird authoritarian bullshit. I'll give you guys an example, okay? Here, we're just going to do this one, and then we're going to move on, okay? We're just going to do this one, okay? Okay? So, imagine this scenario, okay? You're a person with a womb, let's say a woman. You're a lady, and you have sex. Not just, by the way, sex with a husband, okay? You go to a glory hole, and you cram your fucking cooch up against the hole, and you get fucking deep-dicked by 18 consecutive people, all right? You just get degenerate pounded, okay? And you get pregnant, and you want an abortion. You don't want a baby. Great. So there's no denying that you are pregnant of your own volition. You got yourself pregnant, undeniably, and there's no denying you were irresponsible. If you did that without protection, without wanting a baby, it's pretty fucking stupid. So there's no denying. It's your fault. You were irresponsible, right? It's all on you. You're doing this, okay? And you want an abortion. And then a pro-life person, they're like, hey, I believe that fetuses are people. Why should you be able to end the life of a fetus because you're inconvenienced by the consequences of your own action? You consented to that sex. You did it. You had this is the outcome of your action. Like, if you didn't want to if you didn't want to be in this position, you shouldn't have done that. And there's an argument there. But here's the thing. The inconvenience that is being referred to here is the ability for that woman to remove from herself something which is, to put it, not too lightly, a parasitic entity. It is literally. I mean, a fetus literally leaches nutrients from your body. It sounds like a cold way of saying it, but that is what it does. Like, otherwise it would die. It can't survive on its own. So I'm not trying to be edgy. That is what it does. I mean, that is how it works. So here is another instance, okay? Let's say that you are drunk driving and you drive very poorly and you get in a car accident. You wake up in the hospital and the driver you crashed into is in a bad way, very, very close to death. And they've got you hooked up to them, blood-wise. You're giving them blood. And the argument from the hospital is that because it was your fault, that you got in that car accident, it was 100% on you, it was your fault, your irresponsible behavior, you should then be held to give blood to that individual. This is not the same argument as in the Philosophy Tube video at all. Because the Philosophy Tube video doesn't address the possibility that the violinist is there entirely of your own fault. Even if it is your fault that the entity who's requiring blood is there, you still have the legal right to detach yourself from those wires, or what are they called? Tubes? Blood? You can detach yourself from that person and you can leave. And the government cannot and should not hold you legally accountable for that. So here's the distinction. It is entirely possible that if you get in that car accident, you go to jail. But the reason you would go to jail isn't because you refuse to remain hooked up to the victim of your bad driving. It's because you crashed into them in the first place while drunk driving. And likewise, in the case of an abortion, it is not illegal to get pregnant at time of recording. You can't go to jail for that. So likewise, you cannot be held legally accountable for your decision to remove yourself from the consequences of that sex, even if it was your fault and even if you were irresponsible. Does that make sense to all of you? It doesn't matter. The personhood argument doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you say that you shouldn't be able to have an abortion because it's your fault that the fetus got there, even if that's totally true, and that's not always true, rape, there are other instances where this happens, even if that's the case, you then say the government can hold you legally accountable for not using your body to ameliorate the consequences of your irresponsibility. And they can't do that in any other instance because we do hold sacred bodily autonomy. Does that make sense? There's no consent in this argument. This argument is a perfect analogy for abortion. In both cases, irresponsible behavior on your part directly led to a consequence where your unwillingness to keep your body hooked up to another leads to their death. But you cannot be held legally accountable for your decision to abstain from their continued living. You all understand what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's move on.